It's Cut to the Chase Sports Podcast. We're going to drop our top 10 quarterbacks list in college and the NFL. Let's get it.
ATL Jacob.
Maybe not. All right, here we go. So, I'm your host, Chase Shots. Next to me is Brady King. I have no idea what just happened. But I couldn't tell you. I'm Chase Shots. Next to me is Brady King. What's up, Brady?
Not too much. Back at it after last list we did. Receivers back with the quarterbacks. Matt actually here, able to go at it. So let's get it.
Yep. All right, Matt. What's going on with you?
What's up, boys? Unfortunately, last week I wasn't able to be here, but
Fortunately,
we're back. Unfortunately, we're back. You know, the trio is back.
Yep.
UPS didn't fuck me today, so we're rocking and rolling, and we're ready to roll.
Yes, we are. If you're watching this video, just make sure you like it, subscribe to the page and all that stuff. Subscribe to Matt ranting about his job and everything. So It's all good. It's all good there. So, like I said, we're going to talk about the top NCAA quarterbacks and NFL quarterbacks coming up in this season. Matt's going to drop his list here. He's going to start with his honorable mentions and then roll into the top 10.
All right. So, like Chase said, today me and Brady are going to do college quarterbacks, our top 10 list with honorable mentions, and then he's going to go ahead and give his NFL top 10 list of quarterbacks coming back. We're just kind of going to give each other feedback and whatnot off of each other's lists. So, for my honorable mentions, Talia Tagovailoa, who's Tua's brother, had a great year last year. A lot of touchdown passes. Coming back for I think his senior year this year should have a really good year. And I think Maryland's going to be one of those sneaky dangerous teams in the Big Ten possibly. So watch out for Talia Tagovailoa having a great year. Will Rogers, one of the SEC passing leaders last year. Obviously, the tragic loss of Mike Leach will affect, I think, somewhat of how many times they're going to throw the ball, things of that, how many attempts he has, how many yards he throws for, things like that. But he did have a really good year last year in the SEC West. So I have him as an honorable mention. And then Joe Milton, Hendon Hooker's replacement is what it seems as if he's going to be the replacement for Tennessee. A cannon of an arm. There's a video of him out there throwing like 80 yards. So we're going to see really how good Tennessee is, losing their star quarterback. I think he's going to be decent. I really do. I think he's going to have a good year. So I have him as an honorable mention as well.
All right. Let's see your top 10.
All right. Let's get into the top 10. So at number 10, okay, so basically my list is going to be based off of production last year and projection on what I think is going to happen this year. Now, there's some instances where projection outweighs production for me, and there's some instances where production might outweigh projection off of what happened last year. So it kind of just varies. There's no real rule of thumb for me. It's just kind of how I feel about each guy or how I feel he's going to play this year. Sometimes production outweighs the other way. So it just depends. So at number 10, I have a guy that didn't start last year, didn't play much at all last year. Drew Auer from Penn State, okay? Tons of weapons around him. Very, very highly recruited. Has a cannon for an arm. These guys will tell you, I've been really very high on Drew Auer. I was worried last year that he might end up being the starter, and oh shit, Penn State might actually be very, very, very good if he was starting over Sean Clifford, because Sean Clifford is a pussy. So I was thinking that, I'm sorry. I just had to tell you. I just had to say it. Yeah. So I have Drew Auer at number 10, my number 10 spot. I just think he's going to have a great year. I think he's going to be the second best quarterback in his division this year, in his own division.
Yeah, I'm imagining Sean Clifford watching this right now.
The second one. Okay, so let's head to number 9 now. Another guy that I haven't been too high on, but in my opinion, I haven't been too high on him, especially back when he played for Auburn. especially then. But his production last year, I couldn't ignore it. You know what I mean? Putting together a top 10 list, I don't think you can ignore him. So I have Bo Nix at number 9 with Oregon. Coming back for a senior year as well. I think he's going to probably have another good year out in the Pac-12. You know, not a whole lot of defense played out there. So I do have Bo Nix at number 9. And number 8, whoever the Ohio State quarterback is, I think is going to be a top 10 quarterback this year, whether it's Devin Brown or Kyle McCord. So on my list, I just put Ohio State's quarterback just because obviously it's an open competition right now. The talent at the receiving room and just the overall talent around them, I think, is going to propel them and going to help them be a top 10 quarterback this year. So I have Ohio State's quarterback at number 8. At number 7, I have Jaden Daniels from LSU. Okay. I think he last year, really, with Brian Kelly's first year at LSU, they definitely outperformed expectations. You know, he's a dual threat guy. He can move around really well. I think he's going to have another good year in that system coming from Arizona State, you know, second year in the system under Brian Kelly. I think he's going to have a really good year again. And it's going to be a big year for LSU in general. Just, you know, first year, was it a one-hit wonder type of deal under Brian Kelly? Can they compete in the SEC West? I think Jaden Daniels has another good year as well. At number 6 for me, another transfer, Sam Hartman from Notre Dame this year. He led the country in air yards last year, and he's the all-time leader in passing yards in ACC history. And he transferred from Wake Forest. So I do think with the upgrade in talent that Notre Dame's going to have around him, I think he has a really good year as well. So I have Sam Hartman at number 6, who's transferred to Notre Dame. We're going to see him live and living color in week 4 when the Buckeyes travel to South Bend. At number 5, I have Jordan Travis. This might be the hot take of the list. I think this is, again, he had a really good year last year. He's very young with a lot of talent around him coming back. I just think he's going to take, and Florida State and Mike Norvell and them in general are going to take a step forward this year and be elite, probably get to 10 wins, in my opinion, maybe even 11 wins. We'll see. But I have Jordan Travis at number 5 on my list. At number 4, Quinn Ewers, Texas. This is another guy that if you ask me who the most talented guy on the list is, a lot of people might put Quinn Ewers. Just in terms of overall arm talent. I just think he's kind of underperformed a little bit last year. He had some flashes, some not flashes. I don't know. Just it wasn't number 1 overall player in the country. The way he was highly recruited, it wasn't that kind of season that he didn't have that last year. So he'll have a big test against Alabama week 1 on the road in Tuscaloosa. So we'll see how well he performs there. But I do think he has a big year with Steve Sarkisian in his second year at Texas. At number 3, I have Michael Penix from Washington. They have a lot of weapons coming back. He quietly had a great year last year. Quietly had a really great year last year. The lefty from Indiana, who he transferred to Washington a couple years back. So I think he's going to have another great year as well. Lots of receivers coming back around them. I look for Michael Penix to have a great year. The top 2 for me, I believe they kind of separate themselves from everybody else. Drake May at North Carolina. I think he's going to have a great statistical year. We were talking about, you know, we were hanging out together, us 3 out to dinner, talking about who we thought could win the Heisman. I don't think Drake May is going to have, and North Carolina are going to have a good enough record to compete for the Heisman. I think you're going to see 7-5, maybe 8-4, maybe, but his numbers are going to be out of this world, and he's going to be the second quarterback taken off the board unless Quinn Ewers has an astronomical year at Texas. So I have Drake May at number 2, and then I think the unanimous number 1, Heisman Trophy winner, Caleb Williams, USC, just a freak, dude. He's just naturally so good. I mean, I would be shocked if anybody didn't have Caleb Williams number 1 on their list coming back.
Now, I'm going to ask you this before I pass over to Brady. Okay, who would you have a comparison for Caleb Williams as in the National Football League? I know he's a very unique quarterback, but like if you just had to throw one out there, you see like flashes of, you know, multiple quarterbacks in him. What would you say, Matt?
I would compare the player type to Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah,
with not maybe with a less not as strong as an arm. I feel like they're both magical. Like neither are really fast, but they're mobile. You know what I'm saying? They're both mobile. They both can move. They both can scramble. They both can run. A lot of non-mechanical throws, I guess is the best way to unnatural throws, throwing on the run, making plays with their feet in the pocket, things like that. That's kind of the way I would describe them. But I don't want to necessarily compare him to Patrick Mahomes because you can't compare him. He's the best player in the world. So that's just my opinion. Player type wise, I would compare him to Patrick Mahomes.
I would agree. It's like you see, like you said, like a lot of the unnatural throws and just, making plays on the run, all that stuff. It's like, obviously like with some of these young players, you don't want to put that label on them and be like, oh, you're the next Patrick Mahomes or whatever. It's like that's some ridiculous standards you have to live up to. Let that player be that player. You know what I'm saying? Like let Caleb Williams be Caleb Williams is the big thing. But I certainly do see some flashes of what, Patrick Mahomes at the younger age is, what he was able to do. So it's very interesting there. I appreciate the list, Matt. That was a really good insight. We're going to roll it over to Brady now. Brady, give me your honorable mention, then we'll pass it to your top 10.
All right. So my list is based off of completely what I think will happen this year, who I think will be the 10 best QBs of this college football season, who will have the 10 best years this season. So last season matters because you got to see who's better. You got to see the guys play first. But other than that, I'm throwing that out the book. I'm looking at what I think will happen this year. If I think guys will take a step back, if I think guys will continue where they were last year, all that stuff is what I'm looking at. So I just want everyone to keep that in mind. First honorable mention is Jordan Travis. Very, very solid quarterback for Florida State. Don't love the hype he's getting completely. I don't even think he's a top 2 quarterback in his conference. Would probably put him at 3, but he definitely was solid for them, and he's a good enough quarterback to get them some wins with their talented roster. Also got Joe Milton in there. Joe Milton was awful at Michigan. We all know this, but at Tennessee, he started against Clemson and had a good game last year, and you can just see the improvement. He would have never played like that, the old Joe Milton I know. I mean, that guy had some awful throws back in his day, but now he seems to be putting it together. He puts more touch on his throws, all that. He's more in touch with the game. I think he'll have a good season this year. Carson Beck is my other one. I don't think he'll miss much of a beat from Stetson, honestly. I think he's going to have a good year for Georgia. I think this is the best Georgia offense in years. Unless it really depends on the running back play, in my opinion, because they do lose some running back. They do lose Kenny McIntosh, but I think this could be one of the best Georgia offenses in years. So I definitely had to put him as an honorable mention. I think he'll have a good season for sure.
All right, let's hear your top 10 list, Brady, because it's getting scorching down there. I'll tell you that.
Yep. So number 10, I have Kyle McCord. So I do think Kyle McCord's going to win the starting job, and I think he'll be one of the best quarterbacks in the Big Ten for sure. He's just going to have great receivers. I think he's a good enough player that he'll have that type of season. I wouldn't be surprised if he has a better season. I also wouldn't be surprised if he has a worse season. It's one of those spots that I'm not too confident on, but I had to put him on the list based off – you can't put the guy that has the best receivers in the country – not on the top 10 list, or else he really must be a bad quarterback. Number 9, I have Jaden Daniels of LSU. Last year, obviously, had a good season. Some people are hyping him up a little bit more than that, but there's some red flags. He didn't throw at the Manning Passing Academy. There's some people think maybe he didn't think he could throw quite as well on the field as some of those other quarterbacks. But I have seen him play good football, and he's made some good throws. Game-winning touchdown pass against Alabama last year. Definitely had to be on the list. Number 8, I have Cade Klubnik, number 1 quarterback in the nation of 2022. Tough to put on because I wasn't impressed by him last year a lot of the time, but I do think he's good. I think what that was terrible offensive play calling, a terrible system. We saw DJ was awful too. Might have been slightly better than DJ, but now they have TCU's Garrett Riley, who's one of the best offensive coordinators in the country. I think Cade will have a better year this year. 7, I have Drew Aller, the number 2 quarterback from 2022 behind Cade, and I think he's going to have an even better year because I think Penn State is it's just a better team than Clemson. And Drew Aller I do like better because I think his frame, he's 6'5", has a big arm, like Matt said. Last year when he came in the games, he looked like he was a little off base, was missing some throws. But I think that was really because it was the end of the game and crazy stuff like that. I think he'll have a good year. 6, I agree with Matt with Sam Hartman. I think he is the ACC's all-time leading passer. And he's whack. They call some weird plays, and he like walks towards the line and pulls up and just throws it deep, and he really doesn't care. Like he just plays like he just chucks it downfield, and I really like that. He's very productive and definitely the best Notre Dame quarterback in my opinion since probably since Brady Quinn. Honestly, I think he'll be that.
What about Deshaun Kaiser?
I think he's better than Deshaun.
Had to throw it.
5, I have Bo Nix. Obviously, I would have never thought this would be the day would come where he'd be this high, but here we are. Last year, he had a huge year, leading them to a good record. After the Georgia game, they were good from then on. They looked terrible against Georgia, but that changed, and he had a good season. And he's got a good receiving core. He's got Troy Franklin coming back, who's my number 5 receiver, first-round talent. So he's got some weapons, and Bo Nix can just do it all. He's kind of a magic. He makes the magic happen. Number 4, I have Mike Penix. Again, he was college football's leading passer last year, most yards in the country, and he's got his receiving core returning. So I think he'll have another good year. I don't think he's much of an NFL prospect. This is his 6th year. I think that hype is stupid, in my opinion. But as a college player in the system he's in, I think he's going to have a really good year. I think Washington could have a big year too. And he may be the most like, screw it, I'm throwing it up there guy I've ever seen. He throws the weirdest. He'll have a dude wrapped around him, and he will just chuck it with a dude with a defensive end grabbing him. He throws the football, and it's just, how did he even get that off? 3, all right. So before I get in this top 3, this order is not who I necessarily think is the better player. This is who I think will have the better season. So let's keep that in mind. 3, I have Drake May, North Carolina quarterback. I honestly think he might be the best out of these 3 guys, and I think that's because I think he's the best. You watch his film; he's the best pure passer out of the 3. He makes the most deep passes from the pocket in the tightest windows, and was the most efficient. I think if he played on a really good team like Ohio State or Alabama, he's winning the Heisman. I really do. I think he's that good. But I'm settling at 3 because I think they'll be 6-6, 7-5 at best this year. So. And I think he'll still have a big year. It's just he doesn't have any receivers that are big names either, which hurts, but I still think he'll have a big year. Matt, you made a statement. Nobody's going to have Caleb Williams not at number 1. Well, I do not have Caleb Williams at number 1. I have Caleb Williams at number 2. So my explanation, obviously last year he won the Heisman, but it wasn't like he took the Heisman by control and just grabbed that thing and ran with it. He got a default Heisman, and he was a great quarterback. I think he's maybe the best quarterback in the country. It's definitely between him and Drake May in terms of just who is the better player. But again, I'm basing this off who I think will have the best year this year. And I think that he won't win the Heisman again. I don't know if they make the playoffs. It's going to be tough. I think when I watch Caleb Williams, there's too many plays. There's not enough plays from the pocket. Too much stuff where he's just trying to make a crazy play happen, which he needs to get better at that. Like last year, against Utah, he got his ankle hurt. So then, which, no big deal, just throw it from the pocket. He was just not the same. Like, obviously that's a big trait, but you got to have – I think he's Bryce Young, but without the ability – he's not as good from the pocket as Bryce Young. So I do not think he was a top 2 quarterback in terms of just pure who's better last year. This year, he's obviously supremely talented, but he's at 2. Number 1 is Quinn Ewers for me. Quinn, I think, will win the Heisman. That's my reasoning for this. I think he'll have the best passing numbers, most touchdowns, and I think Texas will win the Big 12. I think he's got the second best receiving core in the country behind OSU, and I think he's better than McCord. I think, and Matt brought up that he was underwhelming last year, and I think I disagree because he was supposed to be a true freshman last year and still did what he did against Alabama. We all know they were winning that game with him in the game. Throws downfield, and it's obviously a hot take, but Quinn Ewers I think will be a 1 and done or a 2 and done as a starter, and he will win the Heisman this year and go to the NFL draft. And I think he just has the best season this season. So, yeah.
Let me ask you this. First quarterback off the board in 2024. Who is it, Brady?
I think Caleb Williams will be the first overall pick in the draft.
Okay.
And I would put, again, I do think that Caleb and Drake are probably better players than Quinn. But this is what I made my list off of this season. So if I get
so that'll be interesting. Think about it. A quarterback that wins the Heisman, but doesn't go number one. It's not the first quarterback selected. Yeah. Not even the second quarterback selected. Probably the third quarterback selected.
Mm-hmm.
That interesting. Okay.
Marcus
Matt
Mariota was the last one I can think of. He was the second pick instead of when he won.
Yeah, that's true. Matt, what are your thoughts on Quinn Ewers being number one on Brady's list?
Talent-wise, I think he's probably the most talented. I just don't think his arm talent's better than everybody else's on that list. I just think Caleb Williams is a better player.
I agree.
I just think he's going to have a better year too. I just think the amount of times he's going to fucking throw the ball for USC, and don't get me wrong, Texas is going to throw it, and Quinn Ewers has better weapons this year too. I will say that with Xavier Worthy, all the guys they have coming back. I just think, I don't know, with Lincoln Riley and USC, I just feel like Caleb Williams is going to end up having a better year in that offense. It's just
I forgot to mention it. He brings up a good point though that you actually helped me think of. I was also going to say this, but I forgot. I think that Quinn will throw almost every single play this year because they lost Bijan, and that's one of my reasons. Again, I'm not debating that he's better than Caleb Williams, but these are my top 10 2023 season. Who will be the best? Who will be the?
He very well could. He very well could have a better year.
They lost that Roshan, right? They lost Roshan.
They lost Roshan, Bijan. They really don't have too much other than young guys. So they're going to throw. They got A.D. Mitchell from Georgia. He's clutch. He's probably the most clutch receiver in college football, maybe history. His two.
We remember him. Unfortunately.
Yeah. He has 2 national championship game-winning plays, basically. Yep. He has 2, it's actually pretty insane. He's the only receiver that's had 2 national championship game-winning plays. And he's also a very good player. And then Xavier Worthy is probably the fastest receiver in college football. And Quinn Ewers has a good connection with him. So I think that's a big time. Just big weapons. And I think he is the second best tight end in college football with Jatavion Sanders behind Bowers.
You're very good friends with Xavier Worthy. I
love Xavier.
Oh, jeez. Man. Before we move on to the NFL, do you guys have any final things you want to talk about for college football with your list or anything? Brady, you got anything?
I think that's about it. I think. Oh yeah. No, I have one.
Okay.
So Michigan fans watching this, you're going to be wondering where your boy is, JJ McCarthy, number 9. Number 9 is not on this list, nor he might be in the top 20. It's close.
He probably is top 20.
Probably top 20. Maybe top 20.
That's what I was going to say. I would put him in my top 20 now, but he does not even belong. Doesn't even sniff a top 10 list. Shouldn't even sniff anybody's top 10 list. It's ridiculous. Michigan fans, dude, let's be real. Okay, that dude fucking threw 2 pick sixes to lose you guys a chance at winning competing for a national championship.
To a Big 12 school, I'll mention that does not play defense.
Terrible.
So, don't get me wrong. He threw some good throws against Ohio State to win the game at times, but
I'm sorry, I disagree.
But the DB, we definitely blew a lot of coverages too.
No, I think I'm going to say this, and I mean it. I think Stetson Bennett played good against us. Okay, I think JJ was horrible against us. 12 for 24. At the beginning of the game, that dude was throwing every pass 12 yards over his receiver's head.
It was pretty crazy.
His touchdown passes were passes that, I'll be honest, I know I would make them, and I think all 3 of us would make them. They were the easiest throws I've seen in my life. One of them was a bailout. He just chucked it to the sideline on 3rd and 10, and Cam Brown missed a tackle. The other, Cam Martinez, got juked to this other dimension, was standing on the opposite hash. All you got to do is lob it 30 yards, and it's a touchdown. Yeah. And then other than that, man, I know what you're saying. I get it. He had a decent stat line against OSU and decent amount of touchdowns, but I just wanted to mention that I think this guy is buns. And
I'll tell you this. That Matt and Brady are going to do some Big Ten previews. They're going to, they're going to do each team's rivals and stuff like that. Ohio State and Michigan are going to have their own separate episodes.
Yeah.
Deep dive on Ohio State. Michigan fans, you should probably watch what they got to say about them. They're going to keep it a buck, but at the same time,
if we see a weakness, we'll go at it. Like Will Johnson getting cooked by Julian Fleming last year, like absolutely burned.
Yeah. Yep. But,
did you guys see that?
I will say this: it's hard to make a college football list, top 10 list, when you're the fourth best. When you're going to be the fourth best quarterback in your division.
Yeah,
he's going to be the fourth. Yeah. He's going to be the fourth best quarterback in his division this year.
Yeah.
Yep.
There you go.
There you go. Well, that's college football. We'll shift gears to the National Football League right now. Top 10 NFL quarterbacks. So it was actually funny. A couple of days ago, out to dinner with the family, made a top 25 list. Oh, Charlie's, yes. Chicken tender nachos.
Chicken nachos. Everybody, get the chicken nachos at O'Charlie's. Literally the best appetizer in the history of
yes.
Sorry, Chase. Go ahead.
No, they're very good. I'm promoting myself. But hey, O'Charlie's, the chicken tender nachos, at the bomb. All right. But I was making actually a top 25 quarterback list. I'm not going to read all top 25. I'm not even going to release more than the top 13. So I want to go to honorable mention right here. So,
oh boy,
looking at this, Matt, I know, he's like, oh boy. So these are three quarterbacks that I picked that were notable. All right. So the first one, you got Jared Goff at the last spot at 13. Jared Goff had 29 touchdowns and 7 interceptions and threw 4,000 passing yards last year. Actually, 4,400 yards. Why would he not have a good season coming forward? His receiving core got better. His running back room, they got some good pass catchers out of the backfield. Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery, the tight ends, Sam Laporte is there now. I think Brock Wright had a couple big plays late in the season. They kept their offensive coordinator in Ben Johnson. I think Jared Goff, if he has, a lesser season, I think he's still going to throw for 25 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. I think he's in for a very good season in Detroit, and I think they're going to win their division. So that's a big thing. Geno Smith, I had him at 12. Geno last year threw for over 4,000 yards, had 30 touchdowns to 11 interceptions, nearly a 3-1. And not to mention, they added Jackson Smith and Jigba to that receiving core. You have JSN, DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett. That competes with the Dolphins and Bengals and Eagles receiving cores on paper. They go out there and Geno Smith doesn't turn the ball over, gets the ball to his playmakers and make some big plays. They actually let Geno cook now. They go on ahead and do that. I think Geno Smith could even rise farther on this list, as much as Matt does not like it. And then another one of Matt's guys, Tua Tagovailoa, Tua shithead, as Matt would call.
Where's Justin Fields at?
I'll tell you this, all right. With Tua, when he's on the field and he's healthy, he does have an easy job, but he's a very good pocket passer. I'm not going to slide him at all. Last year he missed like 5 or 6 games. He was still like top 12 in passing in the National Football League, 25 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, led the league in passer rating at 105.5. So I think the Dolphins, they're really a track team out there when they're throwing the football, and Tua Tagovailoa is making some accurate throws and staying upright, not getting sacked a whole lot. He's one of the best out there. So we'll not deny that. We're going to look at the top 10 list now. Throw it down. So number 10, I had Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott had an absolutely awful season last year. He got hurt week 1. He missed like 5 games, comes back. I believe he actually led the league in interceptions somehow. You're asking why I have him in the top 10. Well, Dak Prescott did win a playoff game, played very, very, very well against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Time in, time out when he's healthy. He's throwing 30 touchdowns a season, right around 11 or 12 interceptions. Those are good numbers in the National Football League. Completing around 65% of his passes. Can't complain about that. But I think, with Dak and the core that he has, CeeDee Lamb had 1,300 yards last season. He's always a very reliable target. They got Brandon Cooks from Houston. Go on ahead and have a guy that takes top off the defense. Then you got Michael Gallup coming off of injury. He was really slow last year coming off the ACL in 2021, but now in 2023 he's far removed from it. So maybe he can get back to his old ways. Number 9, Kirk Cousins. Justin Jefferson's the best receiver in the National Football League. Obviously, it's going to make his life a little bit easier. And then Jordan Addison, who they drafted this year in the first round. He's going to play a big impact. KJ Osborne, good number 3. Kirk Cousins has a good receiving core. And Kirk, I mean, like last year, he threw for about 29 touchdowns and 14 interceptions. I thought he did a pretty good job until the playoffs. Obviously, when it's other than 1 o'clock Kirk Cousins, he kind of sucks. But the Vikings play a lot of 1 o'clock games, and Kirk Cousins is pretty good when they play at 1 o'clock. So I don't really have a whole lot of explanation for that one. But yeah, Kirk Cousins, he's fringe. There's the thing though. There's like quarterbacks like 9 through 15 on this 25 quarterback list that I have. I'm not gonna say they're all interchangeable, but they could shuffle. They really could shuffle. That's why when you get into the top 8 quarterbacks list, Trevor Lawrence at 8. This guy actually could jump up pretty far this year. Trevor came back from 27 down in the playoffs and won a game against the Chargers. He was very consistent. He was, his precision passing last year. He threw for 4,100 yards, 25 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. He just looks calm, poised. He's not shaken by the big moment. His core this year, I mean, wow. And you got Calvin Ridley coming off suspension. Christian Kirk had 1,000 yards. Zay Jones was a reliable target. Marvin Jones left to go to Detroit. But then you got Evan Ingram at tight end, Travis Etienne out of the backfield. It's looking pretty good for Jacksonville and Trevor Lawrence. And I think Trevor Lawrence could actually go higher up on this list. Number 7, Aaron Rodgers goes to New York. Aaron Rodgers, the last year or two, he's played pretty pedestrian for his numbers and for his career. When looking at, all the Hail Marys and ridiculous throws that he's made, he's still that bad man. I think, it's going to revitalize him having Garrett Wilson and having McCole Hardman and guys like that in that receiving core, Alan Lazard as well. I think it's going to play dividends. And I think the fact that they're going to be able to run the football with Breece Hall coming off injury and Michael Carter, it's going to really open up Aaron Rodgers' eyes and, just kind of give him a little more confidence just to, let the ball loose and go at it. I mean, he's in New York, so they're going to be playing big-time ball. Why not Aaron Rodgers make some big-time plays against some opponents like Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, stuff like that. So that's a big thing to look at. So I got Aaron Rodgers at 7. Now, I posted a poll one time on my story. It was talking about Lamar Jackson or Jalen Hurts. I actually have Lamar Jackson at 6. So it's just from maybe it's not it has a little bit of recency bias into it. But, I mean, Lamar Jackson's fantastic. The former NFL MVP, one of the most electrifying players in the game, possibly ever. I mean, him, Michael Vick, throw a couple other guys in there, primetime, whatever, regardless of position. Lamar just can't stay on the field, man. I mean, he's been hurt the same time the last 2 seasons, and it's basically cost the Ravens any chance to make a run at the AFC title in the Super Bowl. So until I see him get on the field, when I know he's on the field, like he's going to put up good numbers and do his thing. But until I see him on the field the entire season and see what the Ravens' full potential could be, like I'm not going to move him into that top 5 as of right now. So, but I do think Lamar Jackson's a great quarterback. I have a great deal of respect for him. And even as a Bengals fan, I'm excited to see what Lamar does this season. Top 5. Jalen Hurts had a fantastic season last year. When he was on the field, the Philadelphia Eagles were virtually unstoppable. I believe they lost 2 games, and counting the playoffs. They lost a game against the Washington Commanders where they had way more total yards, all this other stuff, and they just had 3 unfortunate turnovers, and then they lost the Super Bowl. So when Jalen Hurts is on the field, I mean, it's almost wraps. It was very consistent last year. He had 3,700 yards, 22 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, pretty high passer rating. You run the football well, all that. I think his cast with A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Olamide Zaccheaus comes over from Atlanta. The offensive line he's got, Dallas Goedert at tight end. He's got a very good group of guys, and I think Jalen Hurts, under the direction of Nick Sirianni as a head coach and play caller, I think Jalen Hurts is in for more evolving and can take that next step and keep the Eagles as that perennial contender in the NFC. Now, the top four. So it really hasn't changed a whole lot, I would say, from last year. I think the top four that I have is the top four that I had last year, that a lot of people had last year. So number 4, Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert's going to throw the football probably the most times in the National Football League this season. He's going to probably throw it 50, 55 times, whatever you call it. They have a bunch of big motherfuckers on the outside. Mike Williams, Quentin Johnson, Keenan Allen in the slot. They got Austin Eckler coming out of the backfield. They're going to throw the football a ton. Kellen Moore's a new OC. He's going to use Justin Herbert's big arm to his ability and to his advantage. I don't know. Justin Herbert, I have yet to see, that playoff success or that thing that just takes him way over the top to put him in the top 3 on this list. It's pretty tough to measure that. I gotta see what he can do late in the season and into the playoffs. So I'll keep Justin Herbert at 4. Number 3, Josh Allen. I've seen a lot of stuff going on with Josh Allen and Joe Burrow. So Josh Allen's 3, Joe Burrow's 2, Patrick Mahomes 1. We'll get more into that in a second. But let me just say this with Josh Allen and Joe Burrow. So they want to go on ahead and they're like, oh, Josh Allen has more fourth quarter passing touchdowns than Joe Burrow does in the playoffs. And, the Bills actually have, Josh Allen doesn't have as much as Joe Burrow has and stuff like that. Let me ask you this, Bills fans. So you hype up Gabe Davis, as this great number 2 receiver. Which one is it? Does he have a great wide receiver duo that he's thrown to and Stephon Diggs and Gabe Davis? Or does Josh Allen have absolutely nothing? And how are you guys 13-3 then? What the fuck's going on with you guys? Make up your mind is all I got to say. Josh Allen's a great quarterback, but I mean, dude, I'm not even a Bills fan, and he kind of pisses me off watching him play. It really does. He's running around like a chicken with his head cut off sometimes. Just I don't even know, dude. It's so hard to grade, but he's the third best quarterback in the league. Still threw for 4,200 yards, 35 touchdowns, 14 interceptions. I'm not taking anything that he's not. He's a great quarterback in this league, but there's some stuff, there's some facts, there's some numbers that you just can't argue, and that's why the number 2 quarterback Joe Burrow has them. Joe Burrow's gotten to the AFC Championship game back-to-back years. He made a Super Bowl, had a higher passer rating, threw for 4,400 yards, 35 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. When it comes to playing in November and December, Joe Burrow heats up. Josh Allen starts off pretty hot, and then he kind of declines later in the season. Joe Burrow, he gets better as the season goes on, and that's why you see him a couple weeks later than Josh Allen is in the playoffs. All I got to say there. I talk a lot of Joe Burrow anyway, and especially on this, the upcoming show, the Cut to the Chase Bengals Blitz, you're going to hear a ton of stuff coming from my mouth about Joe Burrow and the rest of the Bengals, but I think it's pretty evident that he's number 2. And it's clear-cut that the number 1 quarterback in the league is Patrick Mahomes, 2-time Super Bowl champion in the last 4 years. He led the league in passing, 250 yards passing, 41 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. It's pretty obvious that he's the best in the game right now, and there's a decent margin behind it. So that's my top 10 list with that. Brady, Matt, you guys got anything to say about it?
Yeah. I think I would move Lamar to 5. I think I would move Jalen Hurts to – now, 5 through 8 for me are very, very close.
Yep.
I think Lamar's 5. If he's healthy,
yep.
I think he's a top 5 quarterback. You guys know how much I love him.
I respect that.
One of my favorite players in the world. I just think he's a better – if he's healthy, which he hasn't been, that's a very fair point for you. Very fair point for everybody that wants to criticize that part of it. Very fair to say that he hasn't been healthy. If he is healthy, I think he's better than Jalen Hurts. I think he's the top 5 quarterback in the league. I would put Rodgers at 6. I would put Trevor Lawrence at 7 and Jalen Hurts at 8. And that's not a shot at Jalen Hurts. I just think those guys are better. I just think they're better players. Just my opinion. And then call me crazy, hot take, whatever. I don't really give a shit. It's just my personal opinion. Watch the guys play. Just kind of what I think. I think Justin Fields should be number 10 on the list. I think I would keep Kirk Cousins there, but I think Justin Fields is a top 10 is going to be a top 10 quarterback this year. I've seen them all play. Geno, whatever, fuck it. Dak Prescott, all these guys. What Justin Fields did last year with that shitbag fucking franchise that the Bears are, what he did, unbelievable. He's been dogged on his whole career. He slipped clear to whatever pick he slipped to. Wasn't even close. Okay, wasn't even. He was better than Trey Lance. All the quarterbacks that went ahead of him. It's ridiculous he even fell that far. Okay, he's been overlooked, overhyped, overlooked. All this shit like this. Okay, now it's time to start putting some respect on his name. Okay, Trevor Lawrence is a very good quarterback. He's had more success so far, so I don't have a problem putting him in front of Justin Fields from that draft class. But
Okay.
Justin Fields needs a little bit more respect. He's a top 10 quarterback. There's my list.
All right, there you go. I will say this actually. So, in the grand scheme of things, I will say that I had Justin Fields as the number 17 quarterback in the National Football League going into the season. But I will say this: I think that he has the highest potential to rise the furthest on this list.
There you go.
I think he could rise to as high as I'd even say 8 or 9. Like I think he has the potential to hop damn near double the amount of spots that where he was at 17. I think he could get all the way up to 9 this season. So I think Justin Fields has the most potential to make that skyrocket leap. I'm just gonna, I'm keeping it at a lower rate right now, but I think looking at the core that he has with DJ Moore and Darnell Mooney and stuff like that. I'm just going to have to see what he does early on in the season and see how his offensive coordinator, Luke Getsy, gets those guys in place and if Justin Fields can duplicate what he did last year and be a better passer. So I definitely respect what you're saying, Matt. I just can't put him in the top 10 yet, but I think he has a very good chance of getting into that top 10 by the end of this season.
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't really have as much. I mean, Matt basically hit on Justin Fields pretty good. So I mean, so what it is with him though, because I agree with most of this list. Like, there's not much differences I have. I think I agree with pretty much the top like 7 or so. Like pretty much all in perfect order from what I'd put it. Again with Fields, he's my favorite player in the league. He was my favorite player in college, so I really follow him a lot. And not many people watch him because who wants to watch the Bears? But I'm tuned into every single Bears game just because I want to see. And I also think, and I understand this list has stats involved and stuff, so he definitely but it's not to me. It's not even like he has to improve as much, which obviously would be nice. I think it's his team that has to improve, which will help him get a higher spot on this list. But I've been adamant to both of you and to everybody that I think I've never seen an Ohio State quarterback as good as I think he is. I think he has so much. I think he's so good. I think he's the best rushing quarterback in the league. I think he's better than Lamar at running the ball, which is a hot take. By some people would agree, some people wouldn't. I just think he's as fast, probably a bigger dude. And Lamar's done it for longer, but the season he just had, if he didn't miss, I think he had to miss a game or two because of a shoulder. He was about to break the record for most yards by a quarterback in a season. And it was just him carrying his team on his back week after week, fighting to beat all these teams. And I remember he threw a pick 6 to Jeff Okudah, and then the play after that, he did a read option, and he beat Jeff Okudah to the end zone. It was crazy watching him last year, and it was so nice to see because after his rookie season was tough to judge him because obviously he had terrible talent, but I also didn't see as many flashes. He definitely had some. But after last season is where I was confident with Fields being just one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL. So, yeah, I agree with both of you. I agree with Matt. I could see him going even higher than 10, and I know right now it's hard to put him higher than that. But after this season, I really hope he's up there. And then I also agree with I think him and Trevor Lawrence are very close in terms of who's the better player. Obviously, last year Lawrence had the better stats, but I like both guys. They were clearly the top 2 this whole time. It was so stupid that any of these guys got mentioned.
It's just a travesty. It's a fucking travesty that
they
didn't draft, that the Niners didn't draft Justin Fields because
it's pathetic.
I think they would have won the Super Bowl last year, dead ass, if they had Justin Fields.
I would love to know what the reasoning was because he was the best passer in college on every statistic out of every single one of them. And he had the highest ever score on that IQ test that CJ is terrible.
It's truly just a travesty. It's a travesty. Justin Fields could be a Super Bowl champion right now.
And it's not like he went from, it's not like, oh, he got, instead of getting drafted by San Francisco, he got drafted by like Philadelphia or something like that, another good organization. He got drafted by literally a quarterback morgue.
Quarterback purgatory.
That's literally what I'm saying. Like, nobody's thrown for 4,000 yards in a Chicago Bears uniform ever. And it's been around for over 100 years.
It's not going to happen either. It's just he's not going to be able to do that with this team. Like I know people are looking for him to like have this massive season, but like, and obviously none of us are Justin Fields haters, but there's people. Some people think he's like the worst quarterback in the league, which makes me laugh as hard as I can because you're trying to tell me that. I'm sorry, but like he is better, like than a lot of these guys. I don't know. I don't even remember who I'm thinking of at the bottom of the list, but the crap quarterbacks like Desmond Ridder. People would compare him to Desmond Ridder, bro. Yeah. I just lose my mind with like laughing there. And
those are people that get like too far into stats and they get too far in the wins and stuff like that.
Yeah,
I have him low because like he has great stats, but like also the win production as well. But just like I gotta see that get combined a little bit more and stuff like that, which I think it will, and that's why I think he's gonna rise up on this list. It's just I don't want to jump the gun with it, So
mine. I don't think it's completely like. Obviously, I love Justin Fields, so there might be some slight bias, but also. I'll tell you this. I think Kyle McCord sucks. Like there's the other end of the spectrum. I do not. Good. So like, there's just an example like him. I just think Justin Fields. Like some people think CJ Stroud will be better than Fields, and I think Fields is way better. I just do. I just think he's the better prospect. CJ's good, and he'll be good, but I will never have this like. I just think Fields is so good and it just pains me that he doesn't get to like. Get all the respect he deserves because Bears fans think that he's one of the best quarterbacks in the league because they watch it and they see what he's done. Yeah. It's so much different than Trubisky, Jay Cutler. It's like
Kyle Orton. Like there's a lot.
All of
them. Like Rex Grossman went to a Super Bowl with the Chicago Bears.
Yeah,
is that not what? But it's like I'm thinking about this and stuff like. I mentioned this in the first video that I did in this in the long series that I've been starting. Justin Fields, his big season is much more different than other quarterbacks who need to have a big season. Like I'm talking about some of those other guys need to throw for 4,000 yards, 30 plus touchdowns, less than 10 interceptions. Like Justin Fields, man, if he throws for 3,500 yards, throws for about 20 touchdowns, keeps the interceptions, around 7 or 8, runs the ball, for about 700 yards, 800 yards. He ran for a ton of yards last year. Even he runs for about 800 yards, and he's able to clean up some of the passing game stuck with the new core that he has. Like that's a success, 3,500 yards passing, 20 plus touchdowns. Like it's different compared to, other pocket passing quarterbacks like what a Kirk Cousins or a Dak Prescott or a Jared Goff, Deshaun Watson, Derek Carr, name any quarterback possible. Justin Fields is not like any of those quarterbacks. So it's like it's a tough thing to measure, but the potential and the upside, it's there. I just once I see it,
yeah, exactly. If he played for the Vikings, he would have. I'm confident he'd have better numbers than Kirk Cousins. Like exactly what you're saying. He would be better than Kirk Cousins. I think. I'm sorry, but after seeing what Jalen Hurts did with the Eagles, Fields could do that. He absolutely could do that. He's got the same.
He would be better.
He's better than. I hate saying it because people like go off, and I don't want to start like a. No, obviously, Hurts have better stats, but
I think clearly a better thrower. It's not even close.
I know, it's been like that his whole life, but Hurts as the guy, it's
not even remotely close. Like you would have to be blind to say he's not. Doesn't have a better pass. Doesn't throw the ball better than Jalen Hurts.
And we know who the better runner is too.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, dude.
Oh,
but like you got to like when I'm doing the list, like I kind of use stats and like accomplishments too.
That's why I didn't make an NFL list just because I think the system, like even more so than college, the situation is unbelievably important.
Oh, it's so, and these two are so different. Like Jalen Hurts' situation compared to Justin Fields, it's literally the best team in the NFC to the worst team in the NFC.
Yeah,
so it's like it's that thing, but it's like. The only thing is of what's going on right now is like man, I know he doesn't have this and he doesn't have that. Sometimes you just got to put it together. Like something's got to happen. Like, when it happens, I'll put him up there.
I know what you're saying, but it just wouldn't happen with a single quarterback in the league in that situation.
Oh, I know. Yeah, no, I definitely agree.
You're right. That's the way your list is, and so I don't care that Justin Fields isn't on your top 10 because of the way you made your top 10, like the way you organized it. It's not a big deal. But like what I'm saying is like, and you did give him fair credit. Like you said that if you think that if he had the situation that he would definitely be on here, which yeah, I agree with that for sure.
Now, I also want to throw out something here. Kyler Murray. I'm not saying that he's he's not on this list or anything like that. Not saying that he's top 10 or whatever you want to call it, but like I think the amount of shade and stuff that he's kind of getting thrown his way. I know he's like, he doesn't study his playbook, blah blah blah, stuff like that. But when he walks out there, I mean, he's still still an electrifying quarterback. He still makes plays, all that stuff. Like, don't get it twisted and say, oh yeah, Kyler Murray's not even a top 20 quarterback or a top whatever quarterback. Like some of the there's some people out there that are like, oh yeah, Kyler Murray's washed, blah blah. Like that's ridiculous. All right, Kyler Murray, when he's still on the field, I mean, he's still a very good quarterback. So don't get that twisted. I'm just trying to find any other quarterback narratives that I wanted to push before we get off here. Deshaun Watson, I think he'll be better than last year. I mean, hopefully he'd be better than last year because I don't know what the hell that was.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, not looking good. Derek Carr, I think will have a better season. He's got Chris Olave, Michael Thomas if he ever gets back from an injury or whatever. That's a good one right there, Russ. I actually have him at 18 on my list. Like that's the thing. He's got Jerry Jeudy, Cortland Sutton, KJ Hamler. It's just and with Sean Payton coming in, there's a good chance that he could make a jump up there. It's just so tough to grade him with that bad of a season that he had last season. He actually, for most of the year, he had more bathrooms in his house than he had touchdown passes to like week 15 or 16. Like when you're comparing that stat to the amount of restrooms that he has in his living capacity compared to the touchdown passes he throws when he has Jerry Jeudy and Cortland Sutton on his team, that's utterly ridiculous. And I can't. So. But I think Russell will have a better season, but I don't know. We'll stay tuned for the AFC previews like that. And then Matt Stafford. Matt Stafford won a Super Bowl in 2021 and had one of the very good quarterback season that year. He threw for over 40 touchdowns. He led the league in interceptions as well. He's got Cooper Kupp coming back, and that's probably about it because that's the only person he throws the ball to. So who knows what we'll see from Matt Stafford. Daniel Jones had 15 touchdowns to 5 picks. I don't understand the Daniel Jones hype, but Daniel Jones just didn't turn the ball over. He's literally the classic game manager. Kenny Pickett, I don't know what this Kenny Pickett hype is. No clue. Game manager at best. Brock Purdy, the infinite wonder. We'll see if he actually comes back from injury. Jimmy G, I just laugh at Jimmy G. He's not bad, but I just laugh. Ryan Tannehill, I literally could just stare you to the straight face and be like, what the fuck? Like, what am I going to talk about with Ryan Tannehill? And then Mac Jones. I don't know what to say about Mac Jones either. So, yeah, that's my rankings, NFL stuff. You guys got anything else before we get on out of here?
I didn't realize all these comments about Caleb Williams and Quinn Ewers on here. There's a lot.
Oh, yeah, let's look at these real quick.
I'll address these. Caleb Williams is the best player in college football and not close. Marv's better. So is Brock Bowers, Harold Perkins. He's fourth in my opinion, but I still think he's the best quarterback.
I haven't even seen any comments.
I understand that. Okay, that makes sense. But still, in either way, it was his mobility was taken away a little bit, and he wasn't quite as good. And then Quinn over Caleb is best player. I don't think he's a better player, but best season is what I was ranking. I think he'll have more yards, more touchdowns, win the Heisman. So I would count that as probably a better season. And I think Texas will be just as good as USC. But, yeah, the only one I just disagree with what you said is he's definitely not the far and away best player in college football because he would have been he was probably the third best QB in college football last year, in my opinion, in terms of, like, who's the better player. And Marvin Harrison Jr. is the reigning best receiver in college football. And not just me, everybody else. I'm not even, like, this massive, like, Marv supporter. I think he's the best receiver in college football, but I don't, like, talk about him that much. He's way better than Caleb Williams as, like, at his position. But I understand, like, Caleb Williams is a good player too.
Yeah. So I mean, it's a lot of the list, literally actually everything on the list.
Is this a follower? This is a subscriber?
Not sure. I can't really tell. We'll think about that in a second. But
what's up, Warren? Welcome to the show, baby.
Yeah, man. Welcome though. Yeah. I mean, hey, just keep dropping your comments and stuff like that. We really appreciate that.
We love the feedback.
All that
interaction,
feedback.
Yeah, I like how you called. I like how you called Brady out too. That was good.
Yeah, exactly. Good. Like that stuff. That stuff's good, man.
Caleb Williams.
Yeah,
Caleb Williams, the best player in college football.
Man.
He's not. I don't think he's the best player in college football either. But I do think
he said he was up there. He's up there. I mean,
yeah, he's definitely up there. I think Marv's the best player in the sport. But
yeah. Don't you think Brock Bowers is probably better than him too, though? Like
I would probably put Brock Bowers. I would have to sit down and actually really think about it for a minute, just to think about all the other positions and stuff. But just off the top of my head,
what about Will Johnson?
I would say he's up there too. I would. No, seriously. With how good he, without he's cool. No. I'm not saying he is better. I'm just saying, if I really wanted to, I'd sit down and actually look at a list. That would be interesting.
Yeah.
I thought so. Still, I saw Julian Fleming 10 yards ahead of him on the go route.
I mean, he's one of the best corners.
But
he's one of them for sure.
The only thing about list, it's literally preference. That's all it is. That's literally it's preference when you're talking about. Some people don't want to put stats in there. People want to talk about what's going to happen next year. People put stats in from last year and they talk about projections for this year. Some people just base it on stats last year. But the thing is, the bottom line is, it's literally when people make their list, it's preference. That's all it is. So,
turning and burning.
There you go. For that being said, Chase Johnson, Brady King, Matt Ricketts, Cut the Chase Sports Podcast, man. You'll see a lot more of us with all these Big Ten NFL previews. Stay tuned with us, and we'll see you guys next episode.